A potentially historic liquidity list for basketball this week. Why historic, you ask? Well, stick around and find out. JC3 Cards and Collectibles is hard at work every week scouring eBay sales to find the most liquid names in the trading card markets so you don't have to. Who will be number one this week? Welcome back, everybody, to JC3 Cards and Collectibles. Charlie with you today. We've got another liquidity list for basketball ready for you today. Hope you all enjoyed a long holiday weekend where you took a little time with friends and family to just unwind and relax. But it is time to start talking about cards again. We can never get too far away from them, can we? So we've got another liquidity list ready for you. When we last talked about basketball, we had a list. We'll put it right up here. Some names that included Victor Wembanyama, Caitlin Clark, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Steph Curry. They were our top five out there. Jason Tatum, Giannis, of course, was in there. Anthony Edwards, Kobe Bryant, and Brandon Miller rounded out our top 10. Overall, the market was down a little bit, even though some of our top 10 had increased week over week, or I should say list over list. But they didn't increase overall as much or as robustly as the overall market did. So it led to a little depressed market after the NBA Finals were over. We certainly saw some of that effect. So what's going on now that we've had another 3-4 weeks of data put in there? Actually, I'll specify that. 3 weeks of sales data is what I looked at. We always go with 3 weeks here at JC3 Cards and Collectible. It's a nice little number that seems to reflect some of those changes in markets and captures it appropriately. So we took that 3 weeks of data and we compiled that into a new top 10 for you. Let's take a look at some of the risers and fallers before we get into the new top 10 list. So here we can see some of the hot names on the list this week. We saw some decent climbs out of names like Kevin Durant, Zion Williamson, Magic Johnson saw some good gains this week. It's always nice when a retired Hall of Famer climbs up the list a little bit. I enjoy seeing that. Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Garnett, Jalen Brunson, and Charles Barkley climbed up the list. That's terrible. That's just terrible. So I definitely feel like Olympic basketball had a little bit of an impact on some of those names that are climbing up the list. But on the flip side, whenever we have some names heating up, it means there's likely some names cooling off a little bit too. So who do we got on the snow pile this week? Well, we got Bronny James. Huge climb when the draft took place and Bronny James got selected to go play with his father. But I believe I called it then and I said that sales number is not going to last very long. You're going to see him drop back down and disappear shortly after the draft. And that certainly is what we are seeing. Joining Bronny are people like Jaylen Brown, Derek Lively II. Once those playoffs were done, he started falling down. Zachary Rizache, I believe is how you pronounce his French last name. Chet Holmgren, also another name that once that NBA season was done, he started dropping fast. Paul George and Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis. He is one of those names that I've bought some cards over the years. I thought his position in the playoffs this year would help, but he still struggled with those injuries. That's the book on Kristaps, right? He just can't stay on the court. So those are some of the names that have cooled down over the last 3 weeks. So now the question is, what does that do to the overall list? How do we fit those puzzle pieces together, figure out where those names going up might have populated into our top 10, and where those names cooling off might have fell right out of the list, right? So that brings us to the time we've all been waiting for. How about we take a look at that list overall? So without further ado, let's get into the liquidity list for basketball, our top 10 biggest volume movers in basketball today. Enjoy.
Opening at number 10, Jason Tatum. Number 9, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Number 8, Anthony Edwards. Number 7, the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant. Number 6, Kevin Durant. Sliding to number 5, Victor Wembanyama. Number 4, Michael Jordan. Number 3, Steph Curry. Number 2, LeBron James. And the number 1 most liquid player in basketball, Caitlin Clark of the WNBA.
Well, how about that, folks? We have a new number 1 name in basketball, and it is represented by the WNBA Women's National Basketball Association. Caitlin Clark takes over the number 1 spot. Who would have thought? That is amazing. Round of applause. Women's basketball is back on the map. And I said historic at the beginning of the show. I think it is historic. I do not remember a time when the number 1 name in basketball was a woman on the court. So that is fantastic to see. I think we had some rises over time. I think of people like Cheryl Swoops. What was some of the other names in the 90s that were popular? But there was a little bit of a pop in the late 90s, early 2000 with women's basketball. I'm trying to think of for the Pacers, there was a Hall of Famer, 3-point shooter, really good shooting guard. His sister played as well. Why can't I think of the name? It'll come to me as soon as I finish up the show, I'm sure. I can see it. Reggie Miller, Cheryl Miller, his sister. Is it Cheryl Miller? I think so, yes. But they reached a certain level of success, and they kind of put women's basketball on the map, right? But Caitlin Clark has taken it to another level and reached the mountaintop of the liquidity list. Number 1 over the last 3 weeks of sales data in all of basketball. Caitlin Clark is the number 1 seller. And it's a market that has been down overall, but her cards have continued to see some growth. Speaking of the market being down, 180,000, a little over 180,000 basketball cards sold in the last 3 weeks. That represents a 15% decrease list over list in the previous 3 weeks. There's about 27,000 sellers out there selling basketball cards and over 3 million listings, 3.394 million to be precise over that time. Basketball is definitely not as strong as baseball and football right now. Down overall, but man, I just cannot get over Caitlin Clark climbing up that list. She's been up there in that top half of our top 10 for a long period of time now, but I didn't think anybody was going to be able to unseat Victor. In fact, Let's take a look at that list again and go through that. And just look at some of the names that Caitlin Clark has leapfrogged over: LeBron James, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, and of course, Victor Wembanyama, who has been just a rock at the top of our list for a number of weeks now. And I wasn't sure how long it was going to take to unseat him. He actually did slide quite a bit this week. Not as strong a showing for him as he had in some of the previous weeks, which opened the door. All we needed was an opportunity, right, to see a new number one. In the second half of the list, Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant, Anthony Edwards, Giannis, and Jason Tatum. So again, I think Olympic basketball definitely had some say in the market of late with LeBron and Steph, Kevin Durant. Anthony Edwards, I think, was on that team as well. Really gave their numbers a boost as well. And of course, the LeBron, Steph Curry, Durant Tops Now card that's going to be coming out really generated some interest in those names as well. So, really impressed. I guess I can't say it enough. Really impressed with the ability of Caitlin Clark's market to get all the way up to the top. Congrats on that, Caitlin Clark. So, what about our tier 2 players, numbers 11 through 20, knocking on that door, trying to get into that top 10? Let's take a look at those right up here. And you can see some pretty familiar names in here. Names like, oh, I don't know, Shaq, John Morant, Brandon Miller, Damian Lillard, Scoot Henderson knocking on that door, looking to get in there. Luca has slipped quite a bit since the NBA playoffs. Devin Booker, the answer, Allen Iverson, always knocking on that door. AD Anthony Davis. And one of my surprises for this week, actually a pretty big gainer, came up a few spots, but Amen Thompson, um, looking to crack, well, actually did crack that top 20 now. And then if we extend on a few names just outside that top 20, I'll give you Alonzo Mourning, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. We saw an increase in Magic Johnson sales, but not quite enough to crack into that top 20. Oscar Thompson, another Thompson. We might have to start calling them the Thompson twins, if you will. Saw a pretty good climb as well, got up to 25. Joel Embiid, another WNBA player. Angel Reese came in at number 27. So those are some names that are looking to crack our top 20. And then we have our full second tier of 11 through 20. Those are names that either have been in our top 10 or names that have been trying to crack the code for that top 10 and just haven't quite been there. I want to talk about Angel Reese for a moment because I was excited to see her making her way up a little bit. She actually fell list over list, about 6 spots on our list, which means she was just outside the top 20 previously. So I think selling cards can be a lot like a superhero movie. Every superhero needs a good supervillain, right? Caitlin Clark has Angel Reese to keep pushing her. And I think that is going to continue to be a good pairing out there in the list is Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, always trying to catch her and pushing Caitlin a little further, up and up, right? That's just me. You decide what you want to believe, but I think it kind of parallels those superhero movies where every great superhero needs a good supervillain to keep driving them forward. So that's our list for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative and helpful as well. We're going to get ourselves out of here. Want to remind you this weekend, this Sunday, our inaugural Goat Show card show here in Green Bay, Wisconsin at the historic Riverside Ballroom. I'll play a little more information here on it in a minute, but super excited. JC3 Cards and Collectibles, The Dollar Box. Adam and I have a collaboration on this one. And our wives are doing a lot of work for us as well, the administration of this event. So, big thank you to Jenny and Bree for helping these two old card boys make something like this happen. But we are super excited. This weekend, we're having our first card show. We've got a great turnout already scheduled. Still a few tables available if you're looking to get one in last minute. We've got a little bit of flexibility to make some things happen for you. So let us know if you're in the Green Bay area and you would like a table. We'll make it happen for you. All right, so that's all I got. Hope you enjoyed. Hit that like button if you liked it. Go ahead and subscribe if you're new here. And remember, click that bell to get notifications when new videos come out. So until next time, peace out. Take care of each other.